Joseph didn't connect the dots right away upon registering the couple at a secluded cabin within the forested expanse of a national park. It wasn't until later that night, while tuning into the news, that the gravity of his actions dawned on him. With no moments to spare, he dialed the authorities, initiating a sequence of events akin to scenes from a blockbuster film. His nerves frayed, he prayed the authorities would heed his plea for discretion. Alerting the police without tipping off the suspect was crucial to him. Before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. Time was slipping away. Joseph glanced out the window, noting only one cabin light remained aglow. They hadn't left yet. There was still hope. Joseph maintained vigilance over the cabin, periodically checking his watch. Despite urging the police to expedite their response, 20 minutes had elapsed without their arrival. The delay was concerning. Joseph pondered why it was taking them so long. Perhaps they doubted the authenticity of his report, dismissing it as a hoax. Yet he had emphasized the gravity of the situation. Before long, Joseph noticed the sound of tires crunching on gravel outside. He glanced out and saw a group of police officers exiting their vehicles, fully armed. A sense of relief flooded him as he stepped outside to welcome them. He exchanged words with Detective Watts, the leader of the team who had dedicated weeks to the case. The end was imminent. "Detective, they're still in cabin 20. I've been keeping an eye out. Please don't let him slip away. I have a daughter. I can't fathom her going through this," Joseph implored. Detective Watts expressed gratitude and assured Joseph that they would handle the situation cautiously, emphasizing the need for utmost care in their operation. The police acted with speed and stealth, ensuring minimal noise to avoid alarming the man. Joseph observed intently from the window, holding his breath. Detective Watts advanced towards the cabin door, illuminated by the still burning light. Inside, Joseph glimpsed the outline of a figure. With a swift motion, the police breached the door by force. Joseph, a resident of Portland, Oregon, aged 55, resided with his wife Amy and their two children, Joey and Allie. Occupying the role of a caretaker and park ranger at Mount Rainier National Park, he found profound joy in witnessing the splendor of nature each day. Joseph had the responsibility of maintaining order in the park, ensuring that all visitors adhered to the recommended time limits for their stay. However, exceptions were made for those who rented cabins for overnight or extended stays. Tucked away in the woods, these cabins required a hike of several miles, or, in Joseph's case, transportation by ATV. The cabins typically hosted enthusiastic hikers, often embarking on multi-day treks within the park. These adventurers utilized the cabins for overnight rest, allowing them to rise early and resume their journey the next morning. Joseph was familiar with the majority of these hikers, given their frequent visits. Yet, it wasn't until later that he crossed paths with an unfamiliar and peculiar couple. One bright day, the park bustled with hikers and families seeking solace in nature. Joseph reveled in the lively atmosphere, often joined by his wife and kids on weekends to embrace the park's offerings. Little did he know, his day was on the brink of a significant change. Joseph was minding his own business while he was doing some admin work in his office. When he looked up, a man and a girl stood by his door. He got a fright because they just stood there saying nothing at all. "Hiya, what can I do for you folks?" he asked. The man just looked at Joseph in a strange way. Yeah, my daughter and I would like to rent one of the mountain cabins, please," the man said. Joseph smiled. He thought about his own daughter, Allie, who loved the outdoors just as much as he did. "Sure, how long are you guys staying? You might want to stay for the weekend. I've been told that the sky will be very clear tomorrow night and you will be able to see all the stars and planets. Trust me, you don't want to miss that," Joseph advised. However, Joseph could see the look on the man's face. He was not impressed by Joseph's pushy behavior, and Joseph could see he had struck a nerve. "Yeah, we don't know yet. We'll play it by ear, and if we stay longer, I'll come down to your office to pay up," he said in a gruff voice. But it was then that Joseph witnessed something weird. The man's daughter was just standing to one side while the man spoke to Joseph. She had a sad look on her face, like she didn't want to be there at all. But at that point, he didn't think anything was wrong. He knew what it was like to raise a teenage girl. They were always full of moods. The man paid for the cabin, Joseph handed him a map, and the duo made their way into the woods on foot. Joseph watched them walk off and saw the girl look back at him. He waved in response. She waved back at him, not taking her eyes off of him until they disappeared into the tree line. Joseph had no idea that his day was about to get very complicated indeed. At the end of the day, the park eventually closed up, and Joseph made his way to the cabins. He was on duty that night and climbed onto his ATV to get to cabins before nightfall. When he got there, it was very quiet, and he made his way to his office. His wife, Amy, had packed so much food in for him, knowing that he would be working day and night. He sat back on his chair, took out his food, and put on the news. He made sure to have a little TV in his office. He liked to keep abreast of what was going on. It was then that the news bulletin reported on something that nearly made Joseph's heart stop. His blood ran cold. He realized what he had done. He got up and paced up and down. He looked out of the window and could see the cabin that the man and the girl were in. A light was on inside. He needed to act quickly. He was certain that what he saw on the news was a serious case, and he needed to call the police immediately. After calling the police, Joseph sat with his head in his hands. He couldn't believe that he had missed all the signs. What he thought was a father and daughter spending time together was actually a kidnapper and his victim. No wonder the girl looked at him so intensely. She was discreetly asking for his help, and he missed it. How could he have allowed this to happen? What if it was his daughter? Joseph was beside himself with emotion. All he wanted to do was get the girl to safety. He just hoped that the police would arrive soon and that this whole nightmare would be over. He peered out again, looking at the cabin. He prayed that the man would not leave just yet. Joseph's mind raced as he anxiously awaited the police. Every passing second felt like an eternity. He regretted not being more observant, not picking up on the subtle cues that something was amiss. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on his shoulders, and he couldn't shake the thought of what might be happening inside Cabin 20. Outside, Detective Watts and his team were carefully orchestrating a silent operation. They knew the delicate nature of the situation and the potential danger lurking within the cabin. The gravity of the case had drawn law enforcement from various agencies, each aware that time was of the essence. They had been looking for this man for a long time, and it was a very delicate operation. One wrong move could possibly cost them the life of the girl. As the police approached the cabin, Joseph felt his heart pounding in his chest. He clenched his fists, silently praying for a swift and peaceful resolution. The woods seemed to hold its breath as the officers prepared to breach the door. Detective Watts counted on his hands for the other officers to be ready. With a sudden burst of force, the door gave way. The police rushed in and the tension escalated. Joseph, unable to see the unfolding drama inside, strained to hear any sound that would indicate the situation's resolution. A mix of fear and anticipation overwhelmed him. All he wanted was for the girl to be out of harm's way. She reminded him so much of his own daughter, Allie. Moments later, the silence was shattered by a distant scream. Joseph's heart sank, unsure if it was a cry of distress or relief. He gripped the edge of his desk, powerless and consumed by the unfolding drama. The minutes dragged on, stretching the suspense to its breaking point. What was going on in that cabin? Had the police succeeded in nabbing the culprit? Suddenly, the door swung open and Detective Watts emerged with the girl in tow. Relief washed over Joseph as he saw her safe and unharmed. The man, now in handcuffs, was led away by the police. The nightmare was over, but the emotional scars lingered. Joseph ran to the girl, asking her if she was okay. All she said was, "Thank you for saving me." The girl's gratitude resonated in her tearful eyes as she hugged Joseph tightly. Detective Watts acknowledged Joseph's quick thinking and assistance in the operation, recognizing that the caretaker had played a crucial role in bringing the ordeal to an end. As the police secured the area, Joseph couldn't help but reflect on the fragility of life and the unforeseen challenges that could arise in the most unexpected places. His actions, though driven by a sense of responsibility, had made a significant impact on the lives of those involved. News of the successful rescue spread throughout the community, and the girl's family soon arrived at the scene. The tearful reunion between the girl and her parents brought a sense of closure to the harrowing experience. Joseph, still grappling with the intensity of the situation, found solace in witnessing the strength of familial bonds. He was just relieved that he had turned on the news when he did. In the days that followed, Joseph couldn't shake off the weight of what had transpired. The incident had altered his perspective on his seemingly routine job. Every visitor, every hiker took on a new significance, and he became more vigilant, aware that danger could lurk in the tranquility of the woods. He was never going to let something happen like that under his watch again. The girl's words, "Thank you for saving me," echoed in Joseph's mind. He realized that, in some way, he had become a guardian not only of the park's natural wonders, but also of the people who sought refuge within its boundaries. The events of that fateful night left an indelible mark on Joseph, a reminder of the importance of staying vigilant and trusting one's instincts, even in the midst of the serene beauty of nature.